Okay, welcome back to the complete Sorare guide. This is the guide for when you're starting Sorare. I think it's going to be a really helpful guide, giving you all the tips and tricks, all the starters problems, help getting you as much knowledge as you can for if you're interested or want to join. If you haven't joined already, use someone's affiliate link. Mine's going to be in the description. The benefit of that is that you get a free card once you bought 5 of the auction. If you're signed up now, it'll be limited cards, so you want to buy these yellow ones. If you don't know what the card differences are, you don't know that much about the game, check out the last video. I'll link it in the top right here and you'll get a better understanding. But now you know you want to play, you're going to want to know when the games play. So the game weeks are split into twice weekly, so they'll cover the weekend games, so that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then they'll cover the midweek games of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you get 2 chances a week to win. I think that's really fun. But you can also see the deadline times, so they're obviously going to correspond. They stay the same, so it's always 11 a.m. in the UK, or at least in UK time, on Tuesday morning and 11 a.m. on Friday morning. So, try and avoid, trying to scramble for a team before that. Make sure you get your team well in advance of the deadline. But besides that, where are you going to get your cards from? Under market, go to new auctions. Here we'll have all the different types of scarcity. You can see them here, but for new users, the cheapest, most available cards are limited, the yellow ones. So I'd suggest filtering out by those. And you will have this. So now you want to get bidding, you're going to want to know how you should bid, how high. Everyone wants to get a good deal on their first card. And the best way to do that is to use Sorare data. So, think of who you want to pick up. Maybe you have some information, maybe you've got a tip. But in this example, we'll just use Songbum Kwon. So if you come over to Sorare data, it's a separate website. You can type in his name and hopefully it auto-populates. Otherwise, you can just filter it and select which one it is. But this will give you his prices in limited, rare, super rare, and unique. If you come down to his stats are important here, obviously, if you are looking to kind of compare him to different players. He's a goalkeeper, which make him slightly more expensive, so don't get scared here. But the price graph, you can then filter by limited cards, if that's what you're after. And then, when starting off, I think most people value their gallery or want to do everything in sterling or in their local currency. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But in the long term, try and move to Ethereum. I think it's better for kind of yourself, and you'll see how the rest of the kind of bigger users do it. So let's get into it. So you can see his last price went for £161. It is expensive. You've got to remember he's an under 23 keeper. Those are the most valuable players on the game. Before that went for 143, 132, 179. So somewhere within that bracket is where you want to be bidding. If you are really in demand for a keeper, if this is your 100%, your guaranteed player that you need, go for him. Go for the market price. Maybe go one above. But if you're trying to get a bargain, you've got loads to choose from. Maybe just shoot just below the market price and hope for the best. On the bidding system, it goes up in increments of 10%. So it just stops people, adding 1p bids. I think it's really helpful. So if I wanted to bid for this, it would be 55 ETH or 0.055 ETH, £127. You would just click bid and then, your bid would be put in. I'll give you an example here of bidding because I know someone that I'm after. And I think, not many guides will show you exactly how kind of it looks when bidding. It's very simple, but, you can click into a player. This will save you waiting. And then you can just bid 0.01 ETH. I'll have to put in my password, auto-calculated for me, thankfully, and then my balance will go down slightly and I will be the bidder. When you're outbid, your money should go back into your account instantly. When you win a player, you should get the card instantly, but on the new joiners, it can take a couple more minutes and stuff. So, don't panic. Just know that, Sorare will always have the right amount of money. They'll always give you the right cards. I've never had a mistake. I've never seen a mistake in the 6 months I've been on the platform. So really don't worry about that. Okay. Remember, obviously, to check for injury news on Google and the rest of it, because you don't want to be buying a player that's injured. That's often the reason why players might be, dipping below the market price. So if you're aware of all the factors, jump in and, make a good choice, right? And the next key thing to start with is when you are looking at players, I would suggest picking up your goalkeeper first. The reason for that is that goalkeepers are without doubt the most expensive players on the game because they are more limited. If you think about it in a football team, say they're playing 4-4-2, you've got one goalkeeper, 4 defenders, choose from 4 midfielders, 2 attackers, right? There's only one goalkeeper that's going to play. therefore they're more rare and more expensive. So, what that would do is take up the majority of your budget, and you can see how much you have left for other alternatives. So, for a midfielder, rather than getting the best midfielder, you might have to go for the worst one so you've got enough budget. But the biggest problem that people find, and I've made the mistake myself, is going out and getting that player I want, knowing how good he is, and then blowing my money and I can't afford the goalkeeper, and then the cards are wasted. So don't make that mistake. My next point that I've written down here is try and aim to only work in 1 or 2 leagues. So I described how the league system split up before, but say there's Champion Europe, right? Those are the best leagues in the world. Slightly more expensive because, more in-demand cards because they're better. But ultimately, if you just buy between 2 leagues, you can enter the global leagues. And when you're big enough to grow out of the global leagues, you can then have your separate division. So you could be in Asia, you could be in America, you could be in Challenger Europe, Champion Europe, the under-23s. Whatever your kind of niche is, whatever you have the most knowledge in, that's what I'd suggest. Depending on your budget, everyone wants to know the best strategy to play, and it's constantly changing, obviously. For the last couple of months, the best strategy, and these limited cards were only released last week, so it's hard to say, but the best strategy was competing in Global All-Stars D4, and it probably still is if you can afford to right now. So, it's probably going to cost you £400 if you use a common goalkeeper, and then you can be competitive at least. But the reason for that is at these thresholds. So if you scored over 250 points, it's the only fixed marker in the game where it says if you score above these points. The rest of the game is based on, position finished against the rest of the population. So it doesn't matter if everyone had a good week in this one, you could still win your prize. And the prize was huge. So scoring over 250 points gets you nearly 50 quid. And you can do that twice a week. So you can see how beneficial that would be. If you can compete with a team of £400 and get that every week, it's not going to take you long at all to get your money back. So, they are trying to reduce those. They're switching to a kind of 3-month system. So if that's happened by the time you're watching this video, I'd suggest starting with D5. In this game, it's better to kind of be the bully of a smaller division than to, spend without your means and have a weaker team in a higher division. I found that definitely. So when you come down, you can go to Global All-Star D5. You can see all the payouts. They're still quite high in terms of actual cash, but the cash doesn't split down through all of it doesn't pay more than the top 3 at the moment, and hopefully they resolve that going forward. But you have to finish in the top 205 people out of 1,000 players playing, but there's still 2 or 3 days to put a team in, so that will go up, and just be aware of that. Okay, so just to finish this video, I wanted to look at some of the frequently asked questions from newcomers that aren't really covered in the help section. Do read the help section online; it's quite helpful, obviously. But so one of the first questions is, how does the scoring work? So simply, it's out of 100, but you can drill down and look into how each player has played, and that will basically tell you. So here I have Erkin who's had an unreal week for me. Scoring's out of 100, so getting an 85 is huge. He's got a 5% bonus, and then you can see, he was fouled 4 times, he played 90 minutes, all of these different stats, shots on goal, get you, your points. You can read into it overall how it works and, what's best. But, I'd say in general, kind of attacking midfielders, centre-backs and strikers kind of score well. You get decisive actions for goals and assists. They'll up your score and then you can't go below that. So, obviously they're the most important things. But, passes made and duels won, things like that, everything gets scored in this game. So it's a complete dynamic global fantasy football game overall. Beyond that, a key question is what happens if my player gets moved to a different club? So Bruno Fernandez is a great example of this because right before he moved to Man United, he was at Sporting. Sporting are on the game. And what that means is that his card is still playable in the game. So, wherever they are now, they should be scored. The only caveat to that is if they're not enough coverage by Opta. This is generally lower league football, Bundesliga 2, things like that. The top 20 leagues are all covered, and there's a couple more. You can check on the help section, it tells you every league that's covered. But the general rule of thumb is it a top league? Yes, it'll probably be covered. Someone like the Ukrainian league isn't, but just be aware of that. Most of the time, your card will still be scored. You get complete utility for the rest of the playing career. Okay, the next question is, can I sell them before they play? the question is, the answer to that is yes, if the deadline's passed. So I said the deadline coming up here is 11 a.m. on the 24th. Once that's gone, give it 10 minutes to be safe. I've only done it 10 minutes after, but as soon as that's locked in, your team is locked in, you can do whatever you want with them. You can sell them, you can buy more players, but that is the deadline at the end of the day, so you can sell them before they play. It's brilliant. I've done it before. Then what happens if my player doesn't play? Ultimately they just get a DNP. I'll see if I've got any in my team this week. I think I do, but what they'll do is it will absolutely ruin your week, because of 4 players, I've got a DNP here, so did not play. If one of them doesn't play, it's going to bring your average down significantly. You're really going to miss out. So the key to this game is getting someone that plays every week. An absolute nailed starter is brilliant. How do you gain XP is another one. So if you come over to play, you can go into the current game week, and if your player is playing in these squads, the Global All-Stars are here, they will get XP. The only other way to do it when they're not playing, when they haven't got a game, is to go into a training team. So you can click add a team up here. I've got 6 that are playing at the moment, and they're players I'm not using or haven't got a game, and that'll basically gain them XP. So I think it's a fixed amount of XP if they're not playing, and if they are playing, they get more, and then it's divided by the whole team equally. So the captain doesn't really matter in that sense, but overall, get all your players not playing into a training team. It'll get your XP, and XP is not too crucial at the moment. It obviously gives you a percentage bonus, but as the game gets more popular, it will become even more important. And I think that's it for the general questions. So just to recap some of the most important things, when you're starting off, you should probably start on the auctions. That way you can't go wrong. Everything goes up in increments of 10. Once you've bought 5 free players, once you bought your first 5 players off the auctions, if you use someone's affiliate link like mine in the description, you'll get a free card. Then you can do what you want with that. When you are buying a card, always try and start with a goalkeeper, and try and aim in 1 or 2 leagues. Always use Sorare data. You can compare stats, how much they've played, but most importantly, it's for pricing, so you don't overpay for a player. If you want to leave any questions in the comments, go ahead. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I'm trying my best to put out the best content I can here, and a lot of people seem to like it, so thank you so much if you are part of that. And overall, I wish you luck on the game. It is a bit of gambling, but it's a hell of a good time at the same time. It really increases your love for football. So any questions, do hit me up, and all the best. Cheers.